today we have someone in the launch category, and that happens to be Shalyn Ramsey. She's the CEO and founder of Masket, which is located in Ashland. Shalyn's lifelong entrepreneurial journey started, of course, with a lemonade stand as a child. Her most recent accomplishments surround the conceptualization of a new product, the process of bringing that idea to life and then to market both nationally and internationally. Masket was recently featured on the television show Modern Living with Kathy Ireland. In 2016, Shalyn was named on Axial's Growth 100 list as one of the best and brightest CEOs in the middle market nationwide across industry, and received the Excellence Award from Women of Distinction magazine. In addition, Masket was awarded the Best Feminine Hygiene Company in Oregon by Acquisition International magazine, and was the winner of a national competition for women entrepreneurs sponsored by the Outdoor Industry Women's Coalition in 2015. Our Relocate speaker is Bob Heyer. He's the owner of the Eagle Point Golf Club in Eagle Point. Bob was born and raised in Southern California, and then after attending college in the Northwest, he served 6 years in the U.S. Air Force. Thank you, Bob. And after his military service, Bob returned to Walla Walla, Washington, and met his wife, Shauna, who is his wife of 37 years and counting. With 30 years in financial planning, Bob sold his practice to a junior partner in 2013 to buy the Eagle Point Golf Club. He and Shauna relocated to the Rogue Valley in 2014 and currently live on the Eagle Point Golf Course. Scott Shumway is the president of Cropper Medical Bioskin in Ashland. And Scott has spent his career developing the ability to see and detect things that limit throughput. His wide-ranging leadership experiences have brought specific success to 3 different companies in the printing, real estate, development, and orthopedic brace industries. Scott uses, teaches, and coaches the theory of constraints in order to get the most out of a business system. Theory of constraints, along with his organizational skills, helps create focus and order in an otherwise complex environment. Cropper Medical designs, develops, and distributes orthopedic braces. And this is where I say, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm not wearing your brace today. So sorry.
It's okay.
I've already been reprimanded. And Scott is currently the co-chair of the Southern Oregon Business Innovators Group, which is also known as SOBIG. So I'm going to hand it over right now to Shalyn Ramsey. And as they are speaking, if you would fill out your question, we'll do some Q&A with all 3 of the panelists after all 3 have spoken. Thank you. Shalyn.
A little taller? All right. Well, thank you, SOREDI, so much for asking me to speak here today. It's really an honor. It was a little over 4 years ago that I stood in my kitchen with Glad press and seal, a pair of scissors, Scotch tape, and an idea. Well, taking that idea from my head and making homemade prototypes that day was the beginning of an incredible journey. I'm not sure how many of you here are familiar with Masket, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I'm a single mom with 3 daughters. Now, when you live in a house with a septic tank, you can't flush any menstrual items unless, of course, you want to ruin your septic system. So, have you ever tried to cover a saturated item with toilet paper? Well, let me assure you, toilet paper was meant for wiping, not wrapping. We were going through so much toilet paper, it was ridiculous. I'm sure you've heard the saying, necessity is the mother of invention, and that is exactly what happened in this case. I walked into the bathroom one day and decided enough was enough, and I decided to take it upon myself to create a solution that actually made sense. That moment of frustration for me was a catalyst from complacency to action. The thing is, there has never been a good way for women to deal with their menstrual items. Whether or not you have a septic tank, flushing tampons will eventually result in plumbing problems. And if you have indoor pets, you may very well end up with your menstrual items in your living room. And then in the outdoors, it's also very complicated. And then we have the public restroom situation. When you are in any sort of a medical environment, menstrual waste is placed in a biohazard container because menstrual blood can contain bloodborne pathogens, things like HIV, Hep B, and Hep C. Some of those diseases can live on a surface outside of the body for several weeks. OSHA has regulations for cleaning staff to be gloved when they're dealing with that menstrual waste. Meanwhile, the users of the restroom are left exposed. Well, the Masket innovation addresses all the difficulties associated with the disposal of menstrual waste. It's the only solution that has ever been designed to be placed on the hand prior to use, which creates a glove-like protection. Its pocket feature and puppet-like functionality make it easy to remove your menstrual items. With a simple inversion process, all items are safely contained and then sealed within a pouch that blocks odor on a molecular level. The Masket solution makes sense. But what excites me the most about our company is that we have the chance to change the world. Did you know that it requires over 204 million rolls of toilet paper to cover just a fraction of the menstrual waste in the US every single year? If we can get 10% of women in the US to switch from using toilet paper to using Masket, we could literally save over 140,000 trees every single year. So everyone knows that there's always challenges when starting any business, but being a true entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. You can be sure that plenty of people will let you know that 90% of startups fail, and many will try to fill you with self-doubt and negativity. Unfortunately, in the beginning, it can feel like no one really wants to help you. Now, let's say that your product solves a real problem, but one surrounding a topic that no one likes to talk about, and some people will tell you you're crazy. And maybe I am a little crazy, but nothing motivates me more than a challenge. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never invented a product before, but I had been through enough personal difficulties in my life that I knew that regardless of the challenges I may encounter, I could trust myself to figure out a way to overcome them. I knew it would be hard, require patience, and would most likely take way longer than I would like it to. But I had a simple and profound realization that made it easy for me to follow my dream. Time passes by. So I could either do nothing, and surely nothing would happen, or I could do something, and something could happen. Time goes by either way, so why not try? When I was looking for a manufacturer, I literally heard no after no after no, and there were times when it got really discouraging. I had to continually remind myself that all I needed was one yes, so I kept calling. Steve Jobs said, "I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance." I agree, and that is precisely why I will never quit. Masket is now available through several well-known retailers nationwide, online through Walgreens, Walmart, and Amazon, in stores nationally with REI and Sportsman's Warehouse, and soon Rayleigh's and Longstrugs, Hawaii. I'm happy to say that most recently we were able to launch the commercial side of our business, which is already shaping up to be a game changer for Masket. This is in large part due to the help we have received through SOREDI, and for that I'm forever grateful. It was a little over a year ago when we hit a point in the business where we really needed help. I had a contract in place with Cisco Foods nationally for our wall-mounted dispensers, 45 pre-orders for local businesses, and yet no money to pay for the tooling that it required to get this dispenser into production, let alone the costs associated with this kind of launch or the inventory we would need to even accept an order. I was blessed to have a few friends who had been helping me with Masket, but the fact that I could not pay anyone was definitely wearing on me. I hadn't personally taken a penny from the business. In fact, I had literally put every penny I possibly could into my business. My credit cards were all maxed out. I had borrowed money from my friends and my family and was facing the reality of having to choose between food for my kids and my house payment. Henry Ford once said, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it." How insightful. They say the harder you work, the luckier you get, but I feel truly blessed to have heard about the sounding board opportunity available through SOREDI. It was last December that I had the pleasure of connecting with Tim Root and Steve Vincent in that setting. Over the following months, we were able to spend a fair amount of time together, and I'd like to think at some point they realized I was the real deal and Mascot was going somewhere. It was late spring that they decided to get us in front of the Southern Oregon angel investors. Now, this was a pinnacle moment for Mascot, and my gratitude toward everyone that took a chance on us is endless. We had 15 local investors commit funds to Mascot. The funds were critical at that moment, but the real and priceless bonus was that we now had 15 people from the Rogue Valley standing behind us and cheering us on. There have been more than a few of those investors who have since taken the time to meet with me individually, have offered their advice, support, help, and expertise, and have quite frankly become very valuable advisors for me. So where are we now? You can find our dispensers in several places in our local community, but also in businesses, schools, and universities all over the country. I had a phone call with the Director of Environmental Policy from Carnival Cruise Lines yesterday. Norwegian Cruise Lines is evaluating a proposal for a full implementation onto all of their ships. Our sales for January exceed the sales of the entire last quarter. So far, January is not over. so that is great. And I'm more confident than ever that we will succeed. I often compare the Mascot journey to a car ride in the dark. Although the headlights only illuminate a few hundred feet of the road in front of us, we know exactly where we are going. I'm incredibly grateful for each member of Team Mascot. We would not be here today or where we're at today without each and every one of you. But I want to acknowledge and express my sincere appreciation for our local community and everyone who has contributed to our success. Our first retailer, Ashland Shopping Cart, all of the local businesses that have purchased and installed Mascot dispensers, Southern Oregon University and their interns, the Southern Oregon Angel Investors, all of SOREDI, and more specifically, Steve Vincent, Tim Root, Nolan Alston, John Bowling, Kurt Bennett, Dennis Kendig, Megan Lightman, Cynthia Scher, and Linda Gannum, all who have gone above and beyond to help us. At Mascot, we want to do good, be good, and spread good. We want to empower women while positively impacting our environment, and I'm so proud that we are doing it from right here in Ashland, Oregon. Launching Mascot has been the most extraordinary experience of my life. The ups and downs have definitely kept me feeling alive. I expect that there may be a day when someone asks me, "How did you do it?" I plan to confidently respond by saying, "I didn't give up." The end.
You know what? In 37 years of being married, my wife and I have never used the word feminine hygiene, so I don't. I apologize. You know, when I was asked to speak here, I look out at this crowd, I'm going, how am I going to relate and make something interesting for everybody? If it's not a golfer or not. But I think everybody here would like to bring more talented, high-quality, hard-working people to this community like my wife. So thank you, Shauna. She works harder than anybody else at the golf course if you ever come to the golf course. The story kind of starts, and I have to tell you, 30 years in the financial planning business, that's how I lost all my hair. But it was working with people, communities and things that I tried to get this feeling of accomplishment, like Rebecca was talking about. I'm one of those baby boomers that has to put up my plaques and my diplomas and stuff. But the whole concept of retiring kind of scared me a little bit, but I was at that age and I wanted to sell my practice to a junior partner. And it came up that I found out about this golf course that was for sale here in the valley. It was Eagle Point Golf Course. And a friend of mine, mentor, told me, said, "You're the only guy I know that's passionate enough about golf that can go down there and turn this thing around." I was on a plane the next day and found out it was a Robert Trent Jones Jr. course. For those of you that don't know, he's a very famous golf course architect in the world. And came down, met Patrick Oropalo, our general manager, head pro, and went, "Wow, this kid's sharp. He knows what he's doing. This is a beautiful golf course. Let's make this. We can do this." So the topic, I guess I'm supposed to talk about relocate, so I won't go into a lot of it, but what happened was the day that I signed to buy the golf course, I got a call to meet Robert Trent Jones Jr. himself up at Chambers Bay, which he was there. So an hour after I was told on my phone by a text, which is another one of those technology things that was beyond me. Rebecca was great with this. She said, we were talking at lunch, she goes, the Generation X and the millennials, they do everything by text. I'm going, I just want to talk to people. That's my ear. Call somebody and talk to them. Well, they go, that's rude. Didn't grasp that. So I learned to text. So the title company texted me, said, "Congratulations, you're the new owner of the Eagle Point Golf Course." An hour later, I met Robert Trent Jones Jr. up at Tacoma at Chambers Bay and got to play golf with him. And luckily, I played pretty well and was making some birdies, and he was having a good time too. So we became friends at that point in time. And the whole concept of having Robert Trent, and Shauna told me, says, "Wouldn't it be great to have Robert Trent Jones Jr. come up to the golf course and we could honor him and award?" And so I called him, and he came up 2 months later, and it was phenomenal. But we had not moved down yet. So the relocate part of this story comes into play is that Shauna's passion is landscape, horticulture, master gardener, the most unbelievable, you wouldn't believe this 20 acres that we owned, 5 acres of it looked like Bushok Gardens, and the rest of it was even better than that. For her to, and I apologize, because to ask her to move, to sell her passion, move away from our grandkids to come down here and start this business or to take over this operation to make it work, she was behind me with understanding that we had to be in the community. So as we came down here, we had to be part of the community and relocating for that. She's looking at me, and I can't keep this. So I came here, and I met with the city of Eagle Point, Mayor Bob Russell, Mike Upston, Henry Lawrence, and they embraced us as we embraced them and felt like we could put the community and the golf course together and make it a whole. And that was a big part of our relocating down here, along with people like Patrick and our team at the golf course, the people. And there are some Generation X. And there's some millennials. And I didn't know how to communicate to them, so I'm counting on Patrick taking care of that for me. But we're going to work together as a team to make this community even more connected. And that's what I feel like we're doing. One of the things that I did when I started doing my due diligence before I was buying the course was I'd ask people. I went and played golf with a lot of people, members, and I could talk to them. And I started asking questions like, tell me, what is it that you like about the community? What is it? And this community has expanded in my mind. I said, what do you mean? There's fishing, there's rafting, there's a Shakespeare festival, there's all these things in a great championship golf course right here that we should be able to attract a lot of people into the community with. And I went, all right. But then everybody kept telling me, I had like 40 friends up in Portland where we came down from, the Vancouver area, that said, we want to come down and play your course. But where do we stay? And I said, well, there's, the places by the airport and a few other ones. And they said, well, we want to come down, play golf, have dinner, have some drinks, and not get a DUI driving back and forth. Kind of made me think there's a business opportunity there, an opportunity to take our whole whole process and create a resort, if you will, that's a destination resort in Eagle Point, and bring people not only from outside the community, from Bend and Klamath Falls, that right now their courses are closed, that we can bring them here and have them stay the night. So hence the process of thinking about lodging right there on the golf course. So I had a chance to meet Colleen and Kathy and, SOREDI, and they kind of helped me talk through a little bit of this and helped a lot. So again, I appreciate everything that you guys did with the enterprise zone and the things that are helping us build this. And I want to shout out Jim Early out there has been a big help to us in regards to a lot of things in building the course, taking over, and also starting this lodging project. So what I'd like to do, too, is invite you, not only the people that live in Ashland that can want to come out and have a stay the night, play golf, have dinner, have lunch. That's where we are right now with building this whole community and resort type of operation. We've recently hired Terry Cook as our lodging operational manager, so I'll anticipate that everybody go talk to her and book a room for the day that we get us opened, okay? Now, Aaron and Kelsey Osland are helping me build. They helped us design this and build, and we're building this right now. We laid concrete this last week, so framing's going to start going up, and I appreciate their help in helping build that. So now that I've said that, people want to start coming in like May 1st. We'll get them done soon. So as far as our operation, Sean and I felt we had to come and live here, so that's the relocation, and we've done that and enjoyed this area, enjoyed the people, and we appreciate everything that everybody's done and look forward to having some new golfers and some lodging people come out. So thank you very much for having me today.
My name is Scott Shumway. I'm a Gen Xer. Don't judge me. I'm also the president of Cropper Medical, and I don't have a trophy, so take that, you baby boomers. And I think that was my 8 seconds, so I think I covered all generations. Thanks. So I was asked to speak today on the Prosper part of the launch, relocate, and prosper that SOREDI is all about. And I do want to thank Colleen and all the people at SOREDI for everything that they've done for us over the years, not only helping get all of us together as business people. As we get together, I found it interesting that when I come to these events that I look around the room and I see so many great people that I know and love and work with and have had interactions with. And I love that. I love that we can work together in this valley because it is a good, close-knit valley. And having SOREDI help us with that is great. Let me talk to you a little bit about Cropper Medical and who we are and how we have prospered. So I'll begin by saying this, that in 2016, we had our best year that we've ever had. And we felt really good about that. The one area that I'll talk about today that really helped us to grow last year was our online retail business. Now, we manufacture and distribute orthopedic braces. We actually have done all three parts of the launch, relocate, and prosper. The founder of Cropper Medical is a man named Dean Cropper. He's actually in Chicago today at a foot and ankle business symposium. Talking about a new technology that we're working on for foot and ankles. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But Dean Cropper started out in Phoenix, Arizona. And what he did was he had bad knees, and he had friends that had bad knees. And when you have ACL reconstruction surgery, they'll do the surgery, and then they give you what's called a continuous passive motion machine. And you put your leg in that machine, and it continuously and passively moves your leg. What we call a CPM machine in the industry needs a pad for your leg to go on so that it can continuously and passively move your leg around. And he started his career making CPM pads, and he would sew them. He had one sewer in his garage and a sewing machine, and off he went. That's how he launched his business. Well, as change always happens in every industry, in the medical industry, Dean no longer could make CPM pads and make a profit because reimbursements for medical reimbursements for CPM pads went away. So he changed, and what he changed to is again, a necessity, much like you had a necessity. Dean has bad knees, and so he had worn orthopedic braces throughout his life, and none of them fit right, did the job of fixing his knee pain. They were hot, sweaty, made out of neoprene. They migrated, all the problems that you've probably experienced with knee bracing if you have it. And so he invented a new material called BioSkin, and hence BioSkin, the product that we make, was born, which is a light, thin, breathable material. Well, he took the BioSkin and started to design braces, knee braces, back braces, elbows, wrists, so we cover everything except for the shoulder and the neck, because we don't like that pain in the neck stuff. So as his business grew and prospered, he also wanted to relocate to a better place. He didn't like Phoenix, Arizona. It was too hot. There was crime in the neighborhood that he lived in. So he relocated to Ashland, Oregon. And that happened in 1986. And so Cropper Medical has been prospering in Ashland ever since. And what I wanted to talk about was, in this last year, what we've done is we have tried to continue to grow the business. That's my job as president of the company, is to continue to grow the business, right? If I don't do that, then the Cropper family would fire me, and I'd be coming out here looking for another job. So the goal is prosper. And the question is how do you prosper? How do you prosper, especially moving from a large metropolitan area such as Phoenix, Arizona, where there's a huge population base, to the Rogue Valley where there isn't, and get your business to prosper as well as Cropper Medical has been able to prosper here? I'll give you the answer. I'll give you the answer in a story. So the story is there was a young intern, and she came to work one day. And as she came to work one day, she went and asked one of the VPs, she said, "How can I make a business successful? Can you teach me in 1 week how to take a business and make it successful?" And the VP said, "I can't teach you in 1 week how to make a successful business. What are you, crazy? Go back to your little cubicle." So off she scurried. Then she came to the president of the company and she says, "Hey, I'm not going to be put off by this, but could you teach me in a week how to make a business successful?" And the president of the company says, "I don't need a week to teach you. I just need one word to teach you how to make a successful business. And that one word is..." I want you to want it. The one word is focus. The one word is focus. How do you focus? Now, let me demonstrate why focus is such an important word to helping make a business successful, and what we do at Cropper Medical to help focus. Focus is important. Oftentimes we talk about the Pareto principle. That's the 80-20 rule, where we say 80% or 20% of the things that we do in our business generates 80% of the money, right? We often all say that. That does work if you have a system that is not interconnected. In other words, if your peas in your garden, you're going to get 20% of your pods are going to produce 80% of the peas that are in the pods. That's a non-connected system. The peas are just going to grow out there, right? And the 80-20 rule works. But once you have a system in which all things are interconnected, in other words, an organization, a business structure, where things have to be interconnected, the 80-20 rule doesn't work anymore, and you have to focus. What it means is, if marketing doesn't do their job, how in the world is anything ever going to get through sales to be sold to attract people to desire your product? And what if sales isn't doing their job, what in the world is manufacturing or the operations area doing? So within every system, interconnected system, which is what our businesses are, because they are interconnected, we can't think about the 80-20 rule. We have to think more about the 1-99 rule. And when you identify the one thing that is preventing your business from succeeding, that is the thing that you, what's the word? Focus on. And when you create that type of focus, all of a sudden it releases the great potential that your business has. And that's the secret. It doesn't matter where you're located in the world. We want to live here in the Rogue Valley because it's a beautiful place to live. We've got a great outdoor recreational opportunities. It's a peaceful place. We love it. And you can take any business and bring it here and make it successful as long as you focus your business. And so the idea at Cropper Medical is focus. We use what's called the theory of constraints, which means that a business is like any chain. And the strength of that chain is always determined by one thing, the weakest link. And so the question is how do you identify in your business what your weak link is? That's step number one. Identify the constraint to your business. Step number two, you're going to do everything you can to exploit and get out of that constraint as much as you possibly can. Find it and then focus everything. You don't have to spend money on it, just help focus on it. That means everybody in the organization is going to take step number three, and that is they're going to subordinate to the constraint. Whatever it might be, people in the organization are going to stop what they're doing and come over and help out wherever that weak link is. And then, if you still haven't broken it and it's still not functioning the way that it should, you go to step 4, and that is spend some money on it. You elevate it. And when you spend money at the constraint and nowhere else, I guarantee you're going to see your business prosper as you've never seen it before. Then the final step is if you've broken the constraint, it's no longer a constraint, don't let inertia keep you going down that track and saying, hey, this is so great. This is one area that was so weak. No, make sure you stop, identify the new constraint, focus on it, and do it all over again. I know that if we go and we use that system, all businesses can prosper if you have an ability to focus on your constraint. Thank you.
So I think we can take one or two questions. Does anybody have a card that they might like to bring up? No questions? Maybe one? Okay. Okay, so the first question, any plans for a major USGA PGA event at the Eagle Point Golf Club in the near future?
I hope so. No. Is this on? Hello? Is that better? I would love to see a major one, but probably not major. We're going to have some amateur tournaments sometime soon, I think this year, which will be great. The USGA major tournaments typically have to have a whole lot more lodging around the facility to do that than we have at this time.
Right, thank you. Next question is actually for Shallon. Can you talk about the environmental sustainability of your product and the production cycle? That's question one. The second question is, what do you feel was the key to getting you connected with the funding partners that helped you grow?
Okay. Is this on? Yeah? Okay. Can I actually look at the question again? Sorry. Okay, the environmental sustainability of the product. So the film, the biofilm that we use is made with, basically, it's certified compostable biofilm. It's derived essentially from the starches of plants and vegetables, but mostly thistleweed. So if you see all the purple flowers growing on the hill that you can't kill, that's what our product is made out of. So it's a very sustainable product. You can't kill what we make it out of. So it's it's a very, in comparison to cutting down trees and making toilet paper, which is a much longer life cycle, it's a much better alternative. And production cycle, I guess, what do you mean by that? How is the biofilm made? Well, so we actually do all of our manufacturing in the United States. The biofilm is actually extruded in Hayward. So it's a base form. That's the patent pending part of it is called matter by. It would probably take me too long to explain all of the science behind it, but you can definitely go to our website, masket.us, and on the About Us, you can actually click on the links and read about all the certifications. The reason we did it with the compostable biofilm, well, for me, morally, I just had to do it that way. There's no way I would have made it out of plastic. And the biofilm costs us, anywhere from 6 to 8 times more than if I had made it with regular plastic. But that was just not how I was going to do things. Also, a benefit about this biofilm is down the road, we hope to create landfill diversion with the creation of Masket. So what people don't realize is that a lot of organic feminine products are actually also compostable. But because of the risks associated with the bloodborne pathogens, it would have been impossible to offer some sort of composting service for that waste. But now with the creation of Masket, those items could be safely enclosed and transported to compost facilities. Right now, 20 billion tampons and pads go to U.S. landfills every single year. And so our hope is that down the road, we'll be able to create landfill diversion of that waste as well, which is another reason why we use that biofilm. What do you feel was the key to you getting connected with the funding partners that helped you grow? That's a great question. I mean, obviously, the key for us was taking advantage of the sounding board opportunity through SOREDI. So I had actually been to an angel conference here a few years ago when I had filed my patent, but I didn't have Masket in production yet, just to observe. But then I think they stopped doing those, so I wasn't really sure how to get in touch with Southern Oregon angel investors, and it was definitely through the sounding board. Which is basically like a pre-screening, I think. Like they basically want to see if you're a viable enough business to even put in front of the investors. And I think that was, well, it was obviously really crucial for us. It was a perfect place for us to be able to get investment money because, I mean, having the local investors involved means so much. Because like it's not only just the money, but just the support and them being willing to talk about it and potentially bring it into businesses that they own in the Valley. We've gone into a few restaurants because of, some of the investors. So I personally am just super grateful for the Southern Oregon angel investors, but getting connected was definitely through that sounding board with SOREDI.
Just an FYI, the sounding board are pro bono 1-hour sessions every Wednesday with our venture catalyst and our loan manager, and also Steve Vincent, often a member of our tag team. So they're on Wednesdays at 9, 10, or 11. I'm going to just do one more question so we can keep moving along. So I think this is a good question. It's again addressed to Shallon, but the others may also have something to share on this if I may expand the question. And the question is, what else would you like to see from our community? Would you like to start?
If you have a public restroom, see anyone here with a T-shirt that says Masket. But in all reality, I do think support from the community in that way. I mean, we're providing something that's actually going to hopefully save businesses in plumbing expenses. So you see a lot of signs around here with the public restrooms, do not flush. And women sometimes do because it's easier, but with providing a solution like Masket, it actually is easier than flushing or wrapping or anything. We believe that offering that solution will, I guess, encourage women to dispose of it in a proper manner and hopefully save businesses money in the long run. So it would help us to have your support, but in the long run, it will hopefully also help you save on your plumbing expenses. So that's one thing, just talking about it, buying the product at Food for Less or Shopping Cart or Sportsman's Warehouse or REI. Just really talking about the product for us will be the most helpful because we don't have much of a marketing budget, so we're growing a lot on word of mouth right now, and we count on that to be successful right now. So anything you can do in that way would also be helpful.
Thank you, Shallon. Bob, would you like that same question, please?
The things that came to mind as we're in the throes of building and starting a new business and project, and this is kind of tough, but I think there's something that the cost of starting a business today is, and building something is pretty astronomical from the beginning. Not to hurt or talk to Henry Lawrence at Eagle Point or not this time, but the SDCs and the permits and things are something that I'd like to see somebody help with. And I know Colleen and I have talked about that in the future. So that would be one thing I could see the community figuring out some way to help.
All right, thank you, Bob. Scott?
Yeah, I would add to that, I got out of the real estate development industry just because of that. Yeah, so, SDC fees coming down, things like that, helping the business prosper more here in this area would be great.
All right, let's thank our panelists.